The tale of the crimson hood. Long ago, in a quiet valley bordered by tall pines and silver streams, there lived a bright-eyed girl who was known far and wide for her curious nature. She wore a cloak with a hood the color of ripened berries. Her grandmother had sewn it for her, saying, "When you wander, let this color remind the forest who you are." The villagers simply called her the Crimson Hood, though her family still called her Lena. Lena loved to walk the winding trails, gathering herbs, listening to birds, and asking questions about everything she saw. Her grandmother lived in a cottage on the far side of the forest, and often Lena carried small baskets of food or flowers to cheer the old woman. One bright morning, Lena's mother packed a basket with bread, honey, and a flask of warm broth. "Take this to your grandmother," she said. "She has been resting, and she will welcome both the food and your laughter. But remember, the woods are ancient. Walk with care, keep to the path, and trust your heart more than every voice you hear." With a cheerful nod, Lena set out. Sometimes the streams murmured secrets. Lena, curious as always, slowed her steps, listening. It was then that a shadow moved between the trees. A wolf, tall and lean, with eyes glimmering like wet stones, stepped silently onto the trail. His voice was smooth as still water. "Good day, traveler in crimson. Where might such a thoughtful little wanderer be going?" Lena held her chin high. She remembered her mother's warning but did not want to seem afraid. "To visit my grandmother who lives beyond the meadow where the birches grow." The wolf's ears flicked. He bowed politely. "How kind you must be. The forest is full of paths, some swift, some sweet. If you take the long way, the journey will be dull. But through the mossy glen, you will see flowers brighter than rubies and butterflies larger than your hand. Shouldn't your grandmother enjoy such beauty?" Lena hesitated. Part of her wanted to hurry, but another part longed to see those blossoms. The wolf, noticing her pause, gave a courteous nod and padded away, vanishing as if the forest swallowed him. Lena followed the wolf's suggestion, wandering into the glen. The flowers were indeed marvelous, glowing like small suns. She gathered a bundle until her arms were full. Time slipped like water through her fingers. Meanwhile, the wolf had chosen the straighter path. His paws were swift and his hunger sharper than politeness. Soon he reached the grandmother's cottage. Pretending to be Lena, he tapped on the door. "It is I, your granddaughter, with gifts and warmth." The old woman, though wise, was weary and slow to rise. Before she could question, the wolf leapt inside. He placed her gently but firmly into a chest and locked the lid, saving her for later. Then he donned her shawl, drew the covers high, and waited. When Lena finally arrived, the forest already deep with shadows, she knocked politely. A voice answered, rough yet disguised, "Come in, dear child." Lena stepped closer, but something felt strange. The room smelled not of herbs and tea but of wild fur. The figure in bed looked oddly shaped beneath the quilt. "Grandmother, your voice is so rough," Lena whispered. "The better to greet you after long days of silence," replied the wolf. "And your eyes, they gleam so brightly. The better to see the kindness you bring." Lena's heart quickened, yet she remembered her mother's words, "Trust your heart more than every voice you hear." She took a step back, holding the basket like a shield. "Grandmother," she said firmly, "show me your hands." Two clawed paws rose above the blanket. In that moment, the wolf leapt forward, teeth bared, but Lena was ready. She darted aside and flung the basket's contents into his face. The hot broth splashed his eyes, and the loaf of bread struck his snout. The wolf howled, stumbling. Lena seized the iron poker from beside the fire. Just then, the chest rattled, and her grandmother's muffled voice called out. With a quick strike, Lena broke the lock and helped her grandmother out. Together, they faced the wolf, seeing two pairs of determined eyes, one old and wise, the other young and fierce. The wolf realized the forest would not bend to him this night. He fled through the window and vanished into the trees, never daring to cross that valley again. Lena and her grandmother laughed with relief. They shared the slightly squashed bread, sipped what broth remained, and watched the moonlight paint silver patterns across the floor. From that day forward, Lena walked the forest with sharper senses. She still gathered flowers, still asked questions, still wore her crimson hood, but she carried with her the knowledge that kindness and caution must walk side by side. And the villagers told her tale for many years, not just as a warning, but as a reminder. Bravery is not the absence of fear, but the courage to act when shadows grow long.